ये दिख रहा है सर?
हाँ दिख रहा है। आप एक वीडियो भी चला के देख लीजिए ना।
हाँ वही कर रहा हूँ कि अभी दिख रहे हैं सर?
यस।
वीडियो दिखा रहा है?
यस।
वीडियो दिख रहा है ना अभी?
हाँ दिख रहा है सर।
ओके। मैं ओपन करके देख रहा हूँ कि वेदर So I think all is set. So we'll wait for 8:30 then.
ओके।
संजीव should
और यूपी कैसा चल रहा है सर?
UP is fine.
UP is fine.
Sanjeev, I think
UP is fine, yeah.
we should start.
UP is like a country.
Yeah, I think, but still you are able to control well so far. I hope the same trend continues.
So should we start?
We have
Yes,
another
indeed.
3 minutes. So
ठीक है, ठीक. Okay.
Give a start. Sanjeev, you start.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Myself, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, along with Dr. Shalabh, Dr. Vineet, Dr. Om Chaurasia. We welcome Dr. Srinivas Morki, a famous name in the field of neonatology. Dr. Girish Agrawal sir from Bareilly, one of the pillars of UPIAP, and Dr. D.M. Gupta, a dynamic and dedicated UPIAPN, and all the enthusiastic participants. As you all know, we have had 6 days of successful online neonatal ventilation training program. Today is the last day. Hope you will enjoy and happy learning. Over to Vinay.
Thank you, Sanjeev ji. I don't have much to say, but I just want to take this opportunity to first of all thank Dr. Vineet ji. I think without his initiative, this would have not been possible. I remember he called me 2.5 weeks ago that is it possible to pull something like this in a week's time, and we both had doubts, but I think the way he has organized this is amazing. I think we have had lovely participation and very good faculties and speakers. I also want to thank Dr. Sanjeev and Dr. Shalabh to be always available for any doubts or any issues, and Dr. Piali, who has always been a pillar for me personally, as well as I think in this program as well. I know Dr. Murki for some time now, and it's such a pleasure to sit in, to actually admin one of the sessions he is conducting. I think that is that's actually a privilege. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks all the participants as well.
So thank you, Vinay. So today is like an extra inning after 5-day match. So on demand of very too many participants on WhatsApp group, on phone call, to learn something practical aspect of this CPAP. So I requested Dr. Srinivas, and he was very much kind to agree in very short time. So thank you, Srinivas. So friends,
thank you, sir.
You know, UP is a state of variety and diversity. Similarly, our senior IAPNs have diversified quality. Dr. V.N. Tripathi, all know, known for his Shero Shairi. Vipin Vashisht, known for his science and vaccine. Atul Agrawal, known for his activism on social media. Piali, madam, known for her omnipresence. So similarly, we have a friend, we have a fellow who is known for his hospitality. उस खातिरदारी के लिए मशहूर है, एक हमारा भाई. So I will like to invite to say something, few words for ourselves, for UPIAP, my brother, and ये शब्द शायद उन्हीं के लिए बना है, हरदिल अजीज, डॉक्टर गिरीश अग्रवाल.
well said, Dr. Vineet. Very good.
गिरीश जी आप म्यूट पे हैं.
And pediatricians are UP. We all know that pediatricians are always meritorious. They are academicians. So I think this is a wonderful step by UPIAP, Dr. Vineet, Dr. Sanjeev, Dr. Pyali, Dr. Shalabh. They are always the academicians that they have started such a wonderful training program, and everybody has participated with great enthusiasm. I think this is the best part as far as the learning. We congratulate, I hope, I request academic programs in future also, because in our IAP is basically an academic body. It's about basically the fellowship for our pediatricians and for good academic knowledge. And I suggest that we should have such types of session for common infection in office practice, for this tuberculosis as well. So wonderful again. Congratulations, Team IAP. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So friends, few of us are those who really enjoy work for IAP. So like me, Dheeraj is one of those. Dheeraj Mohan Gupta, DM, popularly known, was last secretary of UPIAP. He worked hard during his tenure, and CPAP is his favorite subject area. During his tenure, he has a very vast plan to conduct CPAP workshop in every branch in government and private sector, but due to some reason that could not be matured. So for today, he is the right person to introduce topic and to introduce speaker. Over to you, Dheeraj.
I don't see him, sir. Has he joined?
Has he not joined? I told him to join at 8:20.
Dheeraj sir, is this you?
He's not visible.
No, there is one Dheeraj, but I don't think he is that one. विनीत जी है नहीं वो. आप म्यूट पे हैं सर.
Vineet bhai, you introduce. Yes,
Okay.
ask Shalabh to introduce, because Srinivas bhai don't need an introduction, but found and famous person.
So I think everybody knows who is Srinivas Murthy and knows his passion for CPAP. So,
Doctor DM is there, I think.
Okay.
I have called him, he is there.
Okay, so Vinay, please unmute him.
दिख नहीं रहे मुझे तो.
Dr. DM, are you there?
He is muted actually.
Please unmute him, Vinay. He is muted.
I am audible,
Yes.
but the video has not been started so far.
Just speak something about topic and Srinivas.
Please, Mr. Vinay, please start the video.
I mean, you have the rights to start your own video, sir. I can't do it from here.
Okay, now it's
Yeah.
yes. Now it's okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening, Dr. DM.
Very good evening to all of you. May I start, sir?
Yeah.
Very good evening, respected senior and dear friends. It's indeed a matter of pleasure for me to be part of this week-long online basic neonatal ventilation training program being conducted under the guidance of Academy of Pediatrics UP in collaboration with DREV under the able leadership of President Dr. Sanjeev Kumar. Friends, this program started week long ago on 11th of May with the blessings of the inaugural lecture of Professor Girish Gupta and is winding up today again by a lecture going to be admirable by one of our laurel neonatologists who has done a tremendous innovative job in the field of CPAP, who is none other than Dr. Srinivas Murthy sir from Hyderabad. Friends, why we are making so much stress and strain on CPAP? Why there is so much popular demand again for a lecture on CPAP from the audience? Although we have started our this weekend journey with CPAP on 12th of May by the lecture of Dr. Akansha Verma, who is from SGPGI. For Academy of Pediatrics UP, we have the following goals. As in our state UP, birth asphyxia, hypothermia, sepsis are the leading causes of high neonatal morbidity and mortality rate, which is very high with respect to the nation. Unless and until this Hindi belt ratio has not been curtailed down, the national statistics is not going to be of much effect. That's why we have trying to introduce the CPAP in our day-to-day practice. It is the easiest phase of non-invasive ventilation, which can even be easily tackled or applied by a trained paramedics staff in the time of crisis. We have the goal to make the CPAP a community CPAP so that it can reach up to the level of CSC and PSC, and thus we can save a lot of our innocent neonates from the clutches of mortality. By the dedicated CPAP mission, Andhra, Telangana, Tamil Nadu have made a marked cut down in their neonatal mortality and morbidity. We have the same mission for our state too. Dear friends, we have introduced Dr. Srinivas Murthy sir 10 years back in the year 2010 on UP IAP platform by introducing him as the coordinator of then neonatal ventilation workshop under the UP Pentagon 2010, which was held at Varanasi. At that time, it was much applauded by all. After a long time, we are again launching him on the official platform of Academy of Pediatrics Uttar Pradesh on the final concluding day of the week-long ventilation training program. Dr. Srinivas Murthy has experience of 15 years in the field of neonatology. He has completed his MBBS from JIPMER, done his in the year JIPMER Pondicherry in 1995, has done MD Pediatrics from PGI Chandigarh in the year 2000, and done his DM Neonatology from PGI Chandigarh again in the year 2003. He has passion in teaching and training of pediatricians and nurses in the neonatal medicine. He has more than 100 publications in national and international journals. He is the editor of many books. A man of such an caliber is again with us. He is none other than Dr. Srinivas Murthy sir. Please welcome him. Over to you, sir. Dr. Srinivas Murthy sir.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Gupta. I don't deserve so many great words. I'm just doing what is my responsibility as a neonatologist, and my mission and vision is to see that UP does a lot of CPAP, and I keep telling you that you are one of my best friends, and you are my pivot in the state of UP. So please encourage more people to do CPAP. As I keep telling that 80% of respiratory distress can be managed only with CPAP. It is only that 10 to 15% who will require ventilation. So most of your babies, mostly preterms, can be easily be salvaged with CPAP. And our mission is to make it as simple as possible. The simplistic way of dealing the managing the respiratory distress is what we should aim for. And that is why we are going to have this lecture again today. So I would try to touch on the art of CPAP. When do we start? How do we monitor? And how do we wean a newborn from CPAP? So let us look at the indications and how do we initiate CPAP. Once you start CPAP, how do you monitor? And how do you maintain the baby on CPAP? When do you start weaning? And when do you say the baby needs to be shifted to a higher support? And when do we remove the baby from CPAP? And how do we remove that baby? So before we start CPAP, these are the minimum requirements. In all the facilities, I assume that you have enough adequate number of nurses and monitor babies. But apart from the doctors and nurses, trained doctors and nurses, these are your minimum requirements. You need a compressed centralized air source. So that means either you need an air cylinder or you need a compressed air source, which is a central air source. Then you need a central oxygen or a oxygen cylinder. Then to mix these two, air and oxygen, you need a blender or a Y connection, because you want to see how much air and how much oxygen should be mixed to get the appropriate FiO2 to be delivered to the baby. So you need a good blender or at least a Y connection. If you don't have a blender, you need a Y connection. Then the most important part I keep stressing of a CPAP is having a appropriate humidifier. It should be a servo humidifier which deliver gases at the nose at 37 degrees Celsius with 100% relative humidity. This is the crux of management of CPAP, the servo humidifier. Then you need disposable circuits, and you also need correct interface to fix onto the baby. We have innovated a lot on these interfaces, and I would like to give you some very simple advice. What is the best interface? How can you get the least nasal injury? And I will try to simplify how we can manage a baby on CPAP. So this is what this is the best thing to have, a bubble CPAP, where you have a humidifier, you have a blender, you have air and oxygen and a flow meter, and you have a bubble chamber. If you don't have this, you can have another bubble chamber, or this is called a flow driver CPAP. It is marketed in India. You have another CPAP which is marketed by Hamilton, which again is very simple. It is a bubble CPAP. And you have a vapotherm. Vapotherm was the gold standard CPAP which is used in the Western world, mostly European countries. But in India, because of the cost efficaciousness, bubble CPAP is the most favored one. Vapotherm, the only difference of vapotherm is this humidifier. The humidifier in vapotherm is slightly different from the humidifier which we normally see in bubble CPAP. You can also do CPAP with ventilation, and we prefer to do ventilation CPAP only when the baby is shifted from ventilation to CPAP, so that you don't have to change the circuits. With the same circuits of ventilation, you can do CPAP, and you can decrease the non-invasive ventilation, invasive ventilation duration. So basically, the crux of CPAP is having the correct humidifier. These are the different types of humidifiers which are available in the market. The cost range of all of them is the same, somewhere between 80 to 90,000 rupees. But whenever you buy a humidifier, you have to ensure that the display temperature should be 37. That means the gas going to the baby goes at 37 degrees Celsius, and it should have a heating element in the inspiratory limb. So you should have in the circuit, in the inspiratory circuit, there should be a heating wire. And this wire continues to heat the gas from humidifier till it goes to the patient. So this is the crux of humidifier, having a servo humidifier which delivers the gases to the nose at 37 degrees with 100% relative humidity. So humidifier is the most important part. Then comes the next part is the air, oxygen, blender. Air, oxygen and blender. Air gives 21% oxygen. Oxygen gives 100% oxygen. To give how much of the fraction oxygen we have to give to the baby, we have to have a blender, because this blender mixes the air and oxygen in such a way that the gas coming out of the blender has appropriate FiO2. Suppose you set FiO2 50%, then it will mix the air and oxygen in such a way that the air coming out from the blender has 50%. And how much flow should come to the circuit? This is the flow meter. So flow meter determines how much flow should be there in the circuit. FiO2 determines what type of gas should be there in the circuit. The quality of gas is decided by the blender. The quantity of gas in the circuit is decided by the flow meter. So normally when we start CPAP, we start with a FiO2 of 30% and a flow of 5 liters. 5 liters flow, FiO2 30% is what we should aim for to starting. This is another inbuilt in the machine here. You can see everything out here, but it is inbuilt inside this. So air, oxygen, blender, flow meter. Then you need a pressure generator, humidifier, air, oxygen, blender, flow meter, and next is a pressure generator. So this is the pressure generator in bubble CPAP. In bubble CPAP, you are putting the expiratory limb. This is the expiratory limb which is going inside water, and how much is the depth from the water level? This tube is inside. Suppose from the water level, the tube is 5 centimeter inside. The pressure in the circuit is 5 centimeter. From the water level, if the tube is 6 centimeter inside, then the pressure is 6 centimeter inside the circuit, and that is the pressure which goes to the patient. So to increase the pressure going to the patient, you push this tube inside so that from the water level, the tube is 6 centimeter inside. You want to decrease the pressure, you pull this tube outside so that from the water level, the tube immersion depth decrease. So whatever is displayed here, if it is 4 centimeter here means from the water level, the tube is 4 centimeter inside. When you push it, if it becomes 5, from the water level, it is 5 centimeters. So this is what is generating the pressure in bubble CPAP. So you have the pressure, which is 5 centimeter. You have the flow, which is 5 liters. And FiO2, we used to say 50%, but now we are saying it is 30%. You start with 30% FiO2, flow of 5 liters, and FiO2, 30% flow of 5 liters, and the third component is the pressure of 5 centimeters. Now this is another method of creating pressure. This is called a flow driver CPAP. Here there is no expiratory limb. There is only one limb, that is the inspiratory limb, and there is a pressure manometer. So whatever gas is going, it is going to the baby directly. Depending upon how much is the flow in the circuit, the pressure is built in the nasal interface. So this is the flow driver CPAP. The pressure in a flow driver CPAP is inside the nasal interface. In a bubble CPAP, the pressure is built in the bubble chamber. So I hope all of you understood. To deliver CPAP, you need a compressed air source, compressed oxygen source, a blender, a flow meter, a humidifier, and a pressure generator. Could be a bubble or could be a interface like a flow driver. Now, what are the other requirements? So to do justice to doing CPAP correctly, all of you should know very simple score called Silverman-Anderson score. I hope all of you know this. I hope that most of you must have already been educated. If you don't know, please look at this score. This is the simplest score, because this will tell you how the alveoli are. The more the score, the alveoli are more collapsed. So you need to give more pressure. If the alveoli are open, the Silverman score is low. That means your pressure requirement is less. So normally we say for a preterm baby with a Silverman score more than 3, he is at the requirement for CPAP. In a term baby, if the Silverman score is more than 5, he has a requirement for CPAP. Less than 3 in preterm, less than 5 in term babies, you can still do with nasal oxygen or sometimes with high flow nasal cannula. Silverman score more than 3 in preterm, CPAP, more than 5 in term babies, CPAP. Silverman score is a guide for your alveolar collapse. Higher the score, more is the retraction, more is the need for CPAP or pressure. So what all components it has? It has nasal flaring, it has grunt, it has got retraction, upper chest retractions, lower chest retractions, and sternal retractions. What is this upper chest, lower chest? Upper chest is from the mid-axillary line, whatever is above is the upper chest. Below the mid-axillary line is lower chest. So when the baby is sleeping like that, if this is the mid-axillary line, whatever retractions are there below the mid-axillary line, it is lower chest. Whatever is above the mid-axillary line, it is upper chest. So based on upper chest, lower chest, sternal, nasal flaring, and grunting, you decide the score. I will show you the score in the chart in the end, but all of you should, your nurses should be well versed with the Silverman-Anderson score. Then you need a pulse oximeter. because we are telling how much of oxygen we have to give to the patient. How much pressure we have to give to the patient is based on your saturations. If saturations are low, you have to give either oxygen or pressure. If your saturations are low, you can give either oxygen or pressure. So when do we give oxygen? When do we give pressure? So suppose you have low saturation and baby has retractions, then you give pressure. So increase the pressure. Suppose you have low oxygen, retractions are not there much, then you increase oxygen. So hypoxia with retractions, you increase pressures. Hypoxia alone, not much retractions, you increase FiO2. So what you do with pulse oximeter is look at the saturation. What saturation you want? 90 to 95%. Not above 95, not below 90. So it is thing to have multi-channel monitor because you need to monitor the blood pressures. If your baby has hyperinflation, that means no retraction, but the chest is hyperinflated, venous returns will come down. If venous return comes down, blood pressure may come down. So if your blood pressure comes down, you can pick up with a multi-channel monitor. If the blood pressure is coming down, that means it could be that your pressure is high or you are into a case of hypovolemia. You also need a portable X-ray. You cannot move a baby on CPAP to the X-ray room. The portable X-ray should come onto the baby because your lung volume and your diagnosis is made from the X-ray. Low lung volume, you have to increase the pressure. Normal lung volume, your pressure is okay. High lung volume, you have to decrease the pressure. So what is low, what is normal, and what is high lung volume? Low is when your intercostal spaces are less than 6 spaces. Normal is when your intercostal spaces are 6 to 8 spaces. High volume is when your intercostal spaces are more than 8 spaces. More than 8 spaces, you have to decrease the pressure. 6 to 8 spaces, your pressures could be normal. That means there is no need to change your CPAP pressure. If your volume is low, that means your intercostal spaces are less than 6, then you have to increase your CPAP pressure. So the two methods of changing pressure is, one is saturation, second is X-ray. Low saturation, retractions, increase the pressure. Low saturation, no retractions, increase the FiO2. Now low saturation, lung is showing low volume, increase the pressure. Low saturation, lung is showing normal volume or increased volume, increase the FiO2. So these two criteria, retractions and X-ray, will tell you whether you can increase the pressure or increase the FiO2. So that is why portable X-ray is very important. Then you also need to give surfactant because your CPAP will help maybe 50 to 60% of babies. Another 30-40% of babies you can avoid ventilation by using surfactant. So in our own study, when you give surfactant early, your CPAP, your ventilation requirement is only 15%. In preterm babies, 28 to 34 weeks. But if you delay giving surfactant, your ventilation requirement is 30%. So to decrease ventilation requirement from 30 to 15%, you have to give early surfactant. So when do you give surfactant? If a baby is on CPAP and if your FiO2 requirement is more than 30%, then that is a candidate for giving surfactant. And how do you give surfactant? Intubate, give surfactant, extubate, and put him back onto CPAP. That is called INSURE technique. It is also desirable but not a must to have a blood gas and a backup ventilator. So if you don't have this, you can still do CPAP, but ensure that if a baby is not succeeding, then you should know where to refer this baby. Now, when do we start CPAP? So we start CPAP, the prime requirement is baby should have spontaneous breathing. Baby could have respiratory distress, but he should be breathing. Babies who have severe asphyxia, babies who have multi-organ failure, baby have severe shock, those babies are not candidate for CPAP. Babies who are candidate for CPAP are pure RDS cases, pneumonia, meconium aspiration, where distress is severe, but respiratory efforts are good. So whenever you want to give CPAP, respiratory efforts should, because CPAP does nothing to wash out the CO2. It will only help in improving oxygenation. So in a preterm baby, if a baby has respiratory distress and a Silverman score more than 3, you have to start him on CPAP. Irrespective of whether his saturation is normal or not, whatever be the saturation, if you have a preterm baby, Silverman score more than 3, the baby is candidate for CPAP. Now, who is a preterm baby? For CPAP, a preterm baby is baby till 34 weeks, not 37 weeks. Preterm baby for CPAP is 34 weeks. 35, 36, 37 and time baby, you will start CPAP if the Silverman score is more than 5. Babies with recurrent apneas also you can start CPAP. And extubation, post-extubation, ventilated, and you want to remove the ventilator early, you will put the baby on CPAP. CPAP is also useful sometimes to treat tracheomalacia and phrenic nerve palsy because it splits the diaphragm and prevents the alveolar collapse. In a term newborn, pneumonia, meconium aspiration, sometimes severe tetany, also you can use CPAP, but they should have distress, where Silverman-Anderson score is more than 5. Now, what are the contraindications? As I already told, babies with severe asphyxia, babies with shock, multi-organ dysfunction, CPAP should not be given. You should go for ventilation. Those with diaphragmatic hernia, those with tracheoaxial fistula, those with cardiovascular instability, those with choanal atresia and cleft palate are the contraindications. Gradually, these contraindications also are coming down. Now you can see in the next slide, this is the baby with cleft palate who was given CPAP with your resuscitation mask. You can see the resuscitation mask covering the nose, mouth. There is a feeding tube which is coming out, and this is fixed to the CPAP. Inspiratory limb, expiratory limb, the Y connection, mask, and mask is fixed onto the cap. So you are able to do CPAP even cleft palate babies. So previously cleft palate used to be a contraindication because you put the prongs in the nose, there will be leak through the mouth. So, but here you are covering the nose and the mouth. So you can do CPAP even babies with the cleft palate. So how do we start? Now, first thing is baby comes to you. NICU baby lands up. Baby has respiratory distress. So he has a Silverman score more than 3. Preterm baby 30 weaker 1.2. As soon as you come, put him on pulse oximeter and set up your machine. Give oxygen and pulse oximeter till your machine is started. Fix the cap. Fix the prongs, connect the prong to the circuit and to the machine. Which prongs you can use? You have many varieties. Fisher and Paykel, Hudson, Inca, Rams cannula. I am going to show how to fix the Rams cannula and the Hudson prongs. So the others, Fisher and Paykel, Inca, you can continue to use it. If you're already using it, you should continue to use it because as you keep using, then your experience increases, your nasal injury will come down. So I will show you the videos of creating the CPAP as well as fixing of the interface. Can you see the video? In
Yes,
the
sir.
chat, you can tell me. Okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah. This video is available on the YouTube. So wash your hands.
There is no sound in the video, right?
Yeah, there is sound in the video. You can't hear?
No.
You can't hear the sound?
No, we can't actually.
Okay. So how do we make sure? So anyway, so I will tell. So now you clean the circuit, clean the machine with a sterilium. You're cleaning the temperature probes, connect oxygen, connect air. So again, because you have cleaned the machine, go and wash your hands. Wear some disposable gloves. Open the circuit. Take the humidifier chamber, fix it to the humidifier. Fill distilled water. Now distilled water is available in the distilled water bottle. So it is preferable to use the distilled water. So fill it to the level. Now this is the bubble chamber. So pour water in the double chamber. This can be distilled water or this can be potable water, drinking water also. And fix it. So now you are to the humidifier chamber, you are connecting the inspirator limb. So this is a pressure release valve. This is a pressure release valve. This has 3 ports. This is a pressure release valve. This pops off when the pressure goes more than 17 centimeters. This knob here is to see how much pressure is going into the circuit. So you can add a manometer here and see. And this is what is for measuring how much FiO2 is going to the circuit. So you can fix a FiO2 monitor here and see the FiO2 going into the circuit. And here you are connecting the gas from the blender to the bubble chamber to the humidifier. So this green wire is connecting, green tube is connecting gas from the blender from the flow meter to the humidifier chamber. So from there, humidifier chamber, this is the inspirator limb, the blue wire. Now from the inspirator limb, you seal using the expirator limb, which is white, and seal the expirator limb to the bubble chamber. Now when you seal it, you should be able to see the bubbles. So bubbles are there means now no bubbles were there because there was some leak. Now you're connecting the temperature probes, heater wires. Yes. So connect the heater wire and the temperature probe. Now switch on the humidifier. It should read 37 before you connect it to the patient. Now you see the bubbles have started. Set the flow rate at 5 liters. FiO2, it is shown 50% here, but 30% and pressure of 5. So temperature should be 37. Pressure should be 5. FiO2 30%, flow of 5 liters. FiO2 30%, pressure 5, flow 5 liters. Look for bubbles. Now we have closed the inspirator and expirator limb together. And this temperature should come to 37 before you connect to the patient. So that is what you have now set the machine. Now let us look how to set the prongs. So here we are showing you how to set the Hudson prongs. Now Hudson prongs is easiest. So wash your hands. You need all this. You need a gown. You need a Hudson prongs. You need the Tegaderm. You need safe care gloves. You need a scissor and some connectors, safety pins, rubber bands to fix the Hudson prongs. So now open the Hudson prongs. These are how they look like. You have a cap and you have the Tegaderm. Now Hudson prongs come in different sizes. There is a size specificity for less than 700 grams, 700 to 1000, 1000 to 500 grams, 1000 to 1500 grams, 1000 to 1500 to 2000. So you should know which prong to pick up for which baby. So we'll show you that. Now cut the Tegaderm. This is called Velcro, which comes in the circuit. There is a rough circuit, a rough Velcro and a small soft Velcro. So you cut the rough Velcro and the soft Velcro. See the way it is cut. This is the rough Velcro. Bend it and make a V connection there. So this is the rough Velcro. So we have cut two soft Velcros, one rough Velcro and the Tegaderm. Now we are fixing the interfaces. This is Hudson prong. You have two connectors. To the Hudson prongs, you are fixing these soft Velcros, which you have already cut on both sides. So the soft Velcros are cut and connected. See, the tails have to be away from the prongs. The tails have to be away from the prongs. The connectors, you cap it with a IV port. And these connectors are already there with the circuit. So inspiratory and expiratory connectors connected to the prongs. Now you are ready to fix onto the baby. Now use a cap. When you use a cap to cover, ensure that the ears are covered. The cap should snugly fit. And while you are fitting, that oxygen should be flowing to the patient. So fix the Tegaderm on the upper lip. Fix the rough Velcro. The V is facing towards the nose. Then the interface. Hudson prongs, these soft Velcros are going to connect to the rough Velcro which you have fixed on the upper lip. And these prongs should snugly fit into the nose. This prong should snugly fit into the nose and there should not be any free space. They should be snugly fit, but there should not be over distension of the nose. There should not be blanching. When you fix it, ensure that there is no blanching. complete fixation without blanching. Then all your prongs are appropriately fixing for the baby. Now you fix the inspiratory limb to one end, and expiratory limb to the other side. So the blue is connected to one side, the white is connected to the other side. Now you have to fix these interface to the cap, and for that you use the safety pins. So first fix the interface and then fix the interface to the cap so that they stay at one place. Make a Y of the rubber band and then fix the interface to the cap. Okay, do this on the same side. Now your bubble CPAP is connected to the patient. This is a patient interface connected. Now you should put a orogastric tube. After putting the interface, immediately you have to put a orogastric tube because you want to vent out the air which goes into the tummy and avoid bubbles CPAP belly. And this should be fixed onto the side. The tip should be above the level of the tummy. So now the baby is comfortable. Now you can see the complete circuit, inspiratory limb, expiratory limb. Now I am showing again the complete circuit, air, oxygen, blender, flow meter, gas is flowing to the humidifier, the pressure release valve, flow FiO2 monitoring, humidification, gas is getting heated in the inspiratory limb, continues to get heated in the inspiratory limb, and then this gas goes to the patient, and from the patient you see that gas is going to the patient, and from the patient the gas expiratory limb is going to the bubble chamber. Ensure that these inspiratory expiratory limbs are supported with a small towel, and this is going into the patient. You should see the bubbling. If bubbling is there, that means the interfaces are fixed well. There are no leaks in the circuit. So that is what is the Hudson prongs. I want to show you one more thing, that is your Ram's cannula. Can you people see this Ram's cannula?
Right now we can see a green screen.
Yeah, so I will ensure that Ram's. Just 1 second.
Sure.
Now we can see.
Yes, sir.
So this is fixation of the Ram's cannula. You have various sizes Ram's cannulas. You can choose any one Ram cannula. So Ram's cannula, it comes in multiple sizes. Choose one of them. It is almost like your nasal prongs. So now to prevent damage with the Ram's cannula, you have to use a tegaderm again. So the tegaderm is fixed onto the nose. There is something called deoderm. Deoderm is fixed onto the nose. I will show you another picture how you can fix a deoderm, and the Ram's cannula is fitted onto the baby. You can use the Ram's cannula to deliver CPAP to babies who are weighing more than 1 kg. So less than 1 kg preferable to use. So Ram's cannula is fitted to the Y connection inspiratory expiratory limb, and it is fixed to the baby. So you can see it is connected to the bubble CPAP machine. You can connect it to the ventilator and do even a nasal IMV also you can do with the Ram's cannula. So am I clear on the fixation of the interface as well as on the machine fixation? Any problems here so far?
There is no.
Gupta sir, can you see? Could you see all the videos?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes,
now we
going
will move on. So now we have started a baby on CPAP. We fixed everything. Now let us go and see how we have to deliver the CPAP more better to the baby. Now we have seen the videos. This is how a complete circuit of a bubble CPAP looks. So it is going from the air, oxygen, humidifier, inspiratory limb, going to the patient by different interface, expiratory limb going into the water. Now I'm not going to, there are some people have asked how pressure is generated by the bubble chamber. That's a different lecture. I would ask you to look at the video which I have in the YouTube. But this whatever is the depth of immersion from the water level down, that is the pressure which you are giving to the patient. So these are the different interfaces. You can see this is Hudson prong. This is a mask. This is a Drager mask. Again, Drager mask, inspiratory limb, expiratory limb, inspiratory limb, expiratory limb connected to a Drager mask. You
I
have
think
appropriate size cap.
Video is not there, sir, on screen.
No. No, now no video. Now we are showing only the PowerPoint. Okay, sorry. Now it's okay. The PowerPoint visible?
Sir, fine.
Okay. So this is what I'm saying. You can use a Hudson prong, you can use a Ram's cannula, or you can use a mask. Now, as experience improved, we are using Ram's cannula for a baby more than 1 kg. Less than 1 kg, we are using the mask. And some babies we use Hudson prongs also. All three are very good. Whatever you use, you continue to use it. But the simplest and the easiest one is Ram's cannula. But Ram's cannula difficulty is should be used only for more than 1 kg babies. Less than 1 kg baby, it may not be sufficient. So this is what I was saying about Hudson prongs. You have different cap sizes. You have different prong sizes. And these prong sizes are based on the weight of the baby for Hudson prongs. Fish and Packel also has different prong sizes. And there are other interfaces like IFD prongs, RGL prongs. So now comes to the settings. Now we have already started. We have started with a flow of 5 liters with a CPAP pressure of 5 centimeters, FiO2 30%. We said humidification, there is no range. 37 degrees Celsius, 100% relative humidity. So that is fixed because you have humidifiers which comes fixed. They are servo humidifiers. So you have option of only 3. In this, we are fixing the flow also 5 liters. So leftover is only CPAP and FiO2. Now, how do we increase FiO2 or how do we increase pressure? How do we decrease pressure and how do we decrease FiO2? So to make a change in FiO2 and pressure, we should look at the saturations. If your saturation is less than 90%, you have started already, but if your saturation is less than 90%, look at the retractions. If retractions are there, you increase your pressure from 5 to 6. Continue to increase till your retractions are coming down. Now, if retractions are stable, not increasing, they are coming down. If you have desaturations less than 90%, increase your FiO2. So simple. Saturation low, retractions, increase pressure. Not much retractions, increase FiO2. So we know how to increase. Now, how do we decrease? Again, very simple now. If there are no retractions, decrease the FiO2. If it is on 60%, you come down every 5% till your FiO2 comes to less than 30%. Once your FiO2 is less than 30%, then you decrease your pressure from 7 to 6, 6 to 5, 5 to 4. Once you are in a pressure of 4, FiO2 less than 30, preferably less than 25%, the baby is out of CPAP. So increasing, look at retractions. Decreasing, you can decrease only when there are no retractions and your saturations are above 95%. Saturation above 95%, retractions are not there, you need to come down on FiO2 and pressure. When you're coming down, first come down on the FiO2 to less than 30% and then come down on pressure from 7 to 6 to 5 and then to 4. Once you are on 4, FiO2 less than 30%, then you can know that this baby may not require CPAP. In small babies, less than 1 kg, the moment you remove CPAP, the baby will have apnea. So those babies on minimal settings of 4 pressure and FiO2 maybe 21 to 25%, you continue them on CPAP till apneas become passive. Bigger babies, like more than 1 kg, no apneas. These babies, when you shift from CPAP, you can shift either to nasal cannula oxygen or to HFNC. And I'm sure Akash would have told you how to start HFNC. HFNC is very simple. Same flow of 5 liters. You remove the expiratory limb. To the inspiratory limb, you connect the HFNC prongs. HFNC prongs, inspiratory limb, keep the same flow, same FiO2. So from CPAP, you have come to HFNC. So that is what is this. So start with a pressure of 5. And how do we change the FiO2 is based on your chest retractions, FiO2 and air entry. Now, if your pressure is reaching the lung or not, how do you know? 2 ways to know your pressure is there, is they go into the lungs or not. If the pressure is going to the circuit, you will see bubbles in the bubble chamber. If pressure is going to the lung, you will hear the bubble sounds in the chest. So if bubble sounds are there in the chest and bubbles are there in the bubble chamber, that means your pressure is reaching the lung. And you will start seeing a decrease in retractions. And on the X-ray, you will see the intercostal spaces should be 6 to 8. More than 8, your pressure is high. Less than 6, your pressure is low. Flow, 5 liters. 5 liters is sufficient for generating pressure from 4 to 8. Suppose you are requiring high flow, but you started with 5 flow. There are no leaks in the circuit, but still there is no bubbling. So what should you do? If there is no bubbling, first you have to go back and see any leaks are there in the circuit. If there are no leaks in the circuit, increase the flow to 6 liters. Still bubbles are not there, increase the flow to 7 liters. Still no bubbles, that means that your circuit, there definitely there is a leak in the circuit. If you are not getting bubbles with 7 liters flow, there's something wrong in the circuit. You should get bubbles with 7 liters flow for all the babies. Start with 5. Most of the time 5 is sufficient, but bubbles should be there. If no bubbles, look for leaks. If no leaks, increase the pressure of flow from 5 to 6, 6 to 7. FiO2 should be 30%. It should be able to maintain saturation between 91 to 95. If you have a blood gas, the PaO2 should be between 50 to 70. So how do we maintain? Always when the baby is on CPAP, your FiO2 should be, saturation should be between 90 to 95%. Your FiO2 can be between 21 to 60%. Even on 60% FiO2, baby continues to have retractions. Saturation is less than, say saturation is less than 90. You have already increased the pressure from 5 to 6, 6 to 7. 7 pressure and FiO2 60%, retractions are still there. First look at whether there are leaks, no leaks. There are no leaks, you are able to hear the bubble sounds in the chest. That means you are giving good CPAP. Still retractions are there, still saturations are less than 90%. That means the baby needs ventilation, either nasal IMV or ventilation. CPAP pressure should be between 4 to 7. Some people use up to 8. So increasing pressure is based on only retractions or X-ray. As I already told you, if retractions are there, you will increase the pressure. If X-ray is showing low volume, increase the pressure. Flow, in ventilator, it can be 6 to 8 liters. I've already said flow is 5 liters fixed, but no bubbling in the bubble chamber, increase to 6. Still no bubbles, increase to 7. No bubbles, there is definitely leak in the circuit. Less than 4 pressure is never given. 4 to 7, most of the time it is the best pressures which you can give. More than 7, please do not use for babies on CPAP. If you don't have a blender, we have seen a blender, air, oxygen and blender. This you can use if you have a Y connection. Air, oxygen, a Y connection is there. How much air you mix with how much oxygen, you get how much FiO2, you can use this chart. Suppose I'm mixing 2 liters of oxygen and total flow, suppose I'm giving 4. I'm giving total flow 4 liters, out of which I'm saying 2 liters of oxygen and 2 liters is air. So how much FiO2 I get? Around 60%. This is 50%, this is about 60%. 4 liters, 50% if I want to give about 1.7 liters of oxygen and 2.3 liters of air. So this is a simpler chart if you don't have blender, but I would suggest you should have a blender. We have already said that humidification is very important. There are no ranges. Your humidifier should give 100% relative humidity. To ensure that you are giving correct humidity, there should be no condensation in your blue tube. Where there is heater wire, there should not be any condensation. In the expiratory limb, there should be small mist. Then you know you are correct giving humidification correctly. Your humidifier should show 37, no condensation in inspiratory limb, some mist in the expiratory limb means you are giving the correct humidification for the baby. So we said how to know flow, how you are increasing or decreasing, pressure, how you are decreasing, increasing, FiO2, how you are increasing and decreasing. What else you have to do for a baby on CPAP? You look at the baby and the airway, you look at the prong and each shift, circuit to look for condensation and leaks, machine, you have to see, continuously monitor how much is FiO2, whether bubbles are there in the bubble chambers or not, and always look for complications. So what do we monitor in the baby? Temperature, temperature, CFT, heart rate, and blood pressure. If your CFT is getting prolonged, immediately look whether you are giving high pressure. That means chest is hyperinflated, no retractions. CFT is getting prolonged. Your pressure is high, decrease the pressure. And if the retractions are there, look for bubbles in the bubble chamber and look for bubble here for the bubbles in the chest. Then if bubbles are heard in the chest and bubbling is there in the bubble chamber, that means your CPAP is working. If still retractions are there, increase the pressure. So for increasing pressure, you have to look for chest expansion. You should look for retractions and air entry. And urine output, abdominal distension, and bowel sound should be seen to see whether there is any complication which is happening. If there is IVH, early IVH, baby will become dull and poor and pale. So tone, activity responsiveness should be measured or should be monitored. We should continuously monitor how much FiO2 giving, how much CPAP is going to the patient, how much flow is going to the patient. And if your facility blood gas and X-ray, no need to do repeated X-ray. One X-ray after starting the baby on CPAP to see how much is the air inflation. And second is to know the diagnosis. Suppose you started the baby on CPAP. You get an X-ray. X-ray showing RDS, low volume lung, reticular granularity, and baby is already on CPAP. You give surfactant by Ensure and continue the baby on CPAP. I said baby on CPAP, X-ray showing RDS, you give surfactant and continue the baby on CPAP. So Silverman score, I said you should know it. I will show you the chart in the end. Another thing you have to monitor is you should have a chart like this: time, heart rate, respirator. Every 1 hour, the nurse need to monitor heart rate, respiratory rate, retraction, CFT, CPAP, SpO2, FiO2, and if you have blood gas should be written here, urine output and abdominal girth. So we said what we need to monitor in the baby. Now in the airway, that is the nose of the baby, suction the nose frequently, mouth frequently. Every 3 to 4 hours, you have to suction the nose and mouth, and you have to put nasal drops into the nose so that there is no block. Moisture in the nose with saline or sterile water. Pass a suction catheter more at least in each shift to ensure. So into the nose, you pass a small saline catheter each shift so that there is no block in the nose. Now, how do we know that your CPAP is working well? Now, to know CPAP is working well, you should know your FiO2 is appropriate, your pressure is adequate, and your flow is adequate, and humidification is appropriate. How do you know your FiO2 is adequate? That means your saturations are between 90 to 95%. How do you know your pressure is adequate? If your pressure is adequate, there will be minimal or no retractions. There is no hyperinflation on the chest. From when you look at the baby from side, there is no hyperinflation and minimal retractions or no retraction. That means your pressure is adequate. Baby is comfortable, minimal no retractions. Air entry should be there. Bubble should be heard in the bubble in the chest, and bubble should be seen in the bubble chamber. That means your pressure is all right. Then flow. Your bubbles in the bubble chamber are seen. If no bubbles in the bubble chamber, your flow is inadequate or leak in the circuit. So to say adequacy, comfortable baby, minimal no retraction, no grunt, capillary refill time should be normal. If it is increased, your pressure could be high or there is hypovolemia. Saturation should be between 91 to 95%. If you do a blood gas, it should be normal range. Most important is bubbling should be seen and bubble sound should be heard. Now, how do we decrease? I've already told you, if your baby is on a pressure of 7, FiO2 60%. Baby has good inflation, comfortable baby, saturations are above 95%. No retraction, saturation above 95%. Baby is already on pressure of 7, FiO2 60%. So you decrease FiO2 to 55%. Saturations are normal, no retractions, and baby is maintaining good saturation. Bubbles are heard and bubbles are seen. Decrease to 50, decrease to 45, decrease to 40. At a point, if you see that saturation is falling down, you keep the FiO2 at that level. And if the retractions are, and continue to come down the FiO2 till it is less than 30%. Once the baby is on FiO2 less than 30%, decrease the pressure from 7 to 6, 6 to 5, and 5 to 4. 4 pressure, FiO2 less than 30, baby is ready to be taken off from CPAP. So decrease pressure to 4 gradually after decreasing FiO2, and the disease process should have improved. If CPAP 4 and FiO2 25%, clinically well, shift the baby on HFNC. If the baby is more than 1 kg, shift to HFNC. Baby less than 1 kg, continue baby on CPAP till there are no apneas. So once you want to shift the baby on HFNC, this is how. the inspirator limb is connected to a different prong called HFNC prong, where the prongs occupy less than 50% of the nose. There should be good leak in HFNC prong. In CPAP prong, the nose should be snugly fitting. So after removing from CPAP, do oronasal suction, watch for apneas, increasing tachypnea, increasing retractions. If retractions come, tachypnea starts off, you should put the baby back on CPAP. And you should keep changing the positions of the baby. When do you say CPAP is not work, you have to go for ventilation. If baby continues to have retractions and grunt, recurrent apneas on and not maintaining saturation less than 90% on a pressure of 7 or more, FiO2 more than 60%. You have already increased the pressure, you have already increased the FiO2. Still baby is having apneas, retractions, grunt. That means you have to go for the ventilation. So sometimes baby is fighting continuously. Nothing is working. So most of the time, why do babies fight CPAP? Most important reason is humidification. There is a lot of water in the circuit. Your humidifier is not working, babies will fight. A lot of secretion, babies will fight. Your nose is hurting, the prongs are causing injury, baby will fight. Baby has abdominal distension, baby will fight. Is not passed urine and stool, baby will fight. So most of the babies fight because your CPAP is not applied well. If you apply the CPAP wells, babies comfortably sleep and the distress will automatically come down. So reasons for failure are CPAP system more than the baby, or it could be worsening of distress, but mostly failure of system. But sometimes it can be increasing distress or shock or neurological problem where you have to ventilate the baby. So prior to intubation, do not treat the blood gas. Look at the baby. Really baby failed or your saturations are low because the probe is out. So look for probe and other things before you say baby has failed CPAP. And always look for if condensation problem is there, whether water is there in the bubble chamber or not, continuous bubbling is there or not, whether leaks are there or your mouth is baby continues to cry. These conditions can also cause failure. Before you say intubate, you have to ensure that these are not there. So there is, and airways also have to be taken care. You can have a small checklist like that before you say baby has failed. So look at the prongs, look at the interface, look at the circuit, look at the baby and see that your CPAP is done very well. So this is a simplified chart which I'll share with all of you. So it tells you what are the indications, what are the contraindications, how do you prepare the machine, how do you initiate CPAP. I said pressure of 5, FiO2 30%, flow of 5 liters for respiratory distress. But if baby has apnea, baby apnea means lungs are not problem. So you start with a pressure of 4, FiO2 less than 25%, flow of 5. For all the conditions, flow is 5. For no lung disease, pressure is 4 or 5, FiO2 is less than 25% apneas. Post extubation, pressure is 5 and FiO2 same as that on extubation. You extubate on 25%, on CPAP also give 25%. So once you start, you adjust the FiO2 and pressure based on the retractions and saturation and X-ray, and then continue to do the nursing care, that is baby care, interface care and the circuit care. And if baby is stable, wean off. Baby fails, you shift to nasal INV or to ventilation. This is the Silverman score I was talking about. So it has upper chest, lower chest, sternal retractions, nasal flaring and grunting. And these are the monitoring chart for baby, interface and circuit. And this is the troubleshoot. In the troubleshoot, you look at the bubbles, bubbling sound and the pressure and FiO2 which you are to giving and any water in the circuit. Based on the problem, you can have a solution here. So to summarize, CPAP is for babies who are breathing normally or have a normal breathing effort and distress. CPAP pressure you titrate based on the retractions. Baby has retractions, you have to increase the pressure. No retractions, you look at the saturation. Saturations are good, decrease FiO2 and then decrease the pressure. FiO2 you titrate based on the saturations. Flow is only to ensure that the flow is there continuously in the circuit. How will you know flow is causing pressure? By looking at the bubbles in the bubble chamber. If bubbles are there, your flow is adequate. So monitor the baby, interface and the circuit. Wean first the FiO2 and then the pressure, and failure is uncommon. If you have failure, first do the checklist before going for ventilation. So that's all. Thank you. So I'll take a lot of questions so it becomes easier for all of you.
Thank you, Srinivas. In the beginning, I said it was extra inning, but actually it was one day ODI with full of 6s and 4. And frankly speaking, in 30 years of my pediatric practice. It is one of the best lecture in neonatology. It was amazing. So before Dheeraj and
thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Dheeraj and other anchors start asking questions, few basic questions from myself. When, after how much time one should think for increment or decrease? If retraction are there and pressure is on 5, for how much time one should wait?
So very good question, sir. So that is why you have an objective Silverman score. Suppose you started the baby on CPAP, grunt will disappear. So your score is starting with a score of 9. You are seeing score has come to 7. Your say after half an hour, 15 minutes to half an hour is the time it takes for the lung to open up, the atelectasis to open up. So 15 to 30 minutes later also, if your score is same, or if your score is 1, you have to increase the pressure. RDS gives surfactant. So with the same pressure of 5, if retractions are there, X-ray is already done by half an hour. If X-ray is showing RDS gives surfactant, continue same pressure. Did it answer the question, sir?
Voice quality, voice was somehow distorted. Can you repeat? Vinay?
Yeah. So as I said, your Silverman score is what will help you. So if you start 9, the moment you start CPAP, the grunt will come down. If grunt has come down, your score has come down. From 9, it has come to 7. That means your CPAP. 15 to 30 minutes you have to wait. Is a fall in 4. If 4 score is gradually, means you continue same setting. Don't change the settings. But after half an hour, if the score is increasing or it is same like 9, that means you have to do something else. What is that something else? Either increase the pressure or give surfactant. Between increasing pressure and surfactant, I will prefer surfactant if the baby has RDS on the X-ray. So 15 to 30 minutes is the time you have to wait.
Okay. And
but your response you will start seeing immediately.
Okay. Second is any blood gas cut off. For that, we think this is not a case for CPAP.
So I would suggest do not do a blood gas. Create problems. If you're 50, 60 also, you can do CPAP. Baby has respiratory effort. Look at the baby. Baby has good respiratory effort. Baby has distress. You put the baby on CPAP. It is the retraction will tell you whether baby requires a CPAP or not saturation, not blood gas.
Sir, your voice is breaking a lot.
Is it?
Yeah.
It is still breaking, sir?
Yeah, it
Vinay, is it still breaking?
Yes, sir.
So I don't know. Maybe because a lot of videos are there. Can I switch off the video so that others can? Vinay?
Yes, now it is better, I think.
I think video bandwidth was occupying.
Possibly.
So yeah. What is the second question, sir?
Sir, Murki sir, I think it is the clinical judgment is more important rather than the other invasive procedures, just as ABG and other things.
So I would stress that look at the retractions, look at saturation, hear for bubble sounds, and look for bubbles in the bubble chamber. These are your 4 important monitoring things to tell you whether you have to increase the pressure or increase FiO2 or go for surfactant.
One question, sir. How much time is required to wean off from the CPAP with minimum NOF settings? Once we have reached the minimum FiO2, minimum pressure, what is the time interval to wean off from the CPAP?
So I've touched on that, sir, a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, if your pressure is 4 and FiO2 is say 25%, if your baby is more than 1 kg, switch him to HFNC. On HFNC, if retraction start, you come back to CPAP because there is no change in circuit, same circuit, only interface is changing.
Yeah.
So more than 1 kg, 25 FiO2, pressure 4, switch to HFNC. Flow of 5 and FiO2, same FiO2 of 25%. After switching to HFNC, if retractions increase, then you come back to CPAP. No retractions, no apnea, continue the baby on HFNC.
And if someone has no
Is that clear?
if someone has no FFNC, then what he will do?
Audio, sir.
Have you heard my voice, sir?
No, there was a break in your voice.
If there is no high flow, then what we will do?
Good answer. The simplest way is to continue the baby on CPAP. Try to remove the CPAP, look for retractions, and if retractions are there, you go back to CPAP. You can come to pressure of 4, FiO2 21% before you remove the baby from CPAP. But HFNC is very simple. It doesn't require any extra machine.
Circuits only.
All that you have to do is not even circuit, only interface. Inspiratory limb is connected to the interface, and that interface should not cover the nose. The nose should be, there should be a lot of leak in the nose in HFNC. No leak in the nose in CPAP.
Yes. There is one query, Dr. Murthy. For decision making by lung volume, is it necessary to get the X-rays done in propped up position and erect position?
No. Never ever touch the baby. It should be only in supine position. Yeah. It should be only in supine position. And again, I would stress more on retractions which are clinical, even compared to X-ray. X-ray is done, one, to know the diagnosis. Second is, if you do an X-ray and if there is hyperinflation, you can come down on the pressure. X-ray will help you to come down on pressure rather than increasing pressure.
Okay.
You should do an X-ray when the baby collapses. Baby has shock. You should do an X-ray to see if there is any pneumothorax, or do a transillumination.
Dr. Murthy, there is one question. Though you have clearly given the message that the flow rate should be 5 liters and pressure should be 5 centimeters, but for some time, if the baby is not settling down before we decide to shift to the ventilator, can we increase the pressures or the flow rates for some time?
Sir, flow rates are only to create bubbles. If bubbles are there, don't increase the flow rate. Only if bubbles are not there, then you have to increase the flow rate. Bubbles mean the bubble chamber bubbles. If bubbles are there in the bubble chamber, your flow is to generate pressure. That flow is not going to the patient.
Okay.
And that flow has nothing to do with failure or pass. It is only the pressure that pass from the CPAP.
And what about the pressure? Can we increase the pressure for sometimes an hour or so?
Some more questions I will. Yes, sir. You have to increase the pressure from 5 to 6, 6 to 7 if retractions are there. Up to 7 you go. Some people go up to 8 also. But you do it every 15 minutes to half an hour, not immediately.
Okay.
Sir, when we are increasing the pressure, it means we are increasing the PEEP. And when we are increasing the PEEP, what does it means to the alveoli?
Okay, very good question. So whenever you are increasing your PEEP, P-E-E-P, here it is not PEEP, it is CPAP. CPAP means both during inspiration and expiration, the pressure is trying to keep the alveoli open. So if your alveolar collapsed, you will get retractions. If your alveoli open, retractions come down. Now after retractions come down, it is expansion. So this is inspiration. This is expiration, inspiration, expiration. Inspiration is by the baby. What volume is there at the end of expiration is by what is you are giving by CPAP. If you don't give CPAP, baby will start from here. If you give CPAP, baby will start from here. So when baby starts from here, it goes like this. It is much more easier than baby starting from here and going up like that. So the part of lung is, if the lungs are small, you need big pressure to open the lungs. If the lungs are medium, you require little pressure to open the lungs. So this CPAP brings the lungs from this level to this level so that it becomes easy to breathe after that. So CPAP only alveoli are open and then they are expanded. If alveolar collapse, you have to give PEEP to alveolar. How do you know alveolar collapse? Look at the retractions.
It means the terminology used for this is the splinting of the alveoli.
Recruitment of alveoli.
Recruitment of the alveoli. Yeah.
One very good question from one of the participants. After giving surfactant, the lung compliances improves. So after giving surfactant, how long should we wait for a change in pressure?
So very good question, sir. Normally after giving surfactant, you have to sit with the baby for next 4 to 6 hours. Suppose you gave surfactant on a pressure of 6 and FiO2 say 50%. Now, once you give surfactant, as the compliance improves, oxygen requirement will come down. If oxygen requirement is coming down, that means your saturations are increasing, 94, 95, 96. So you keep coming down on the FiO2 to 50, to 45, 45 to 40, still saturations above 95. 45 to 30, still saturation. Now, once you come to 30% FiO2, you decrease the pressure from and then 5 to 4. For your FiO2 should come down. Only if your lungs are open, your FiO2 will come down. So if you're given surfactant, the lungs have started opening up, you will start seeing a drop in your FiO2. If you start seeing a drop in FiO2 less than 30%, that means now lungs are fully open, start decreasing the pressure.
Question from Dr. Utkarsh.
So, yes, sir.
If a baby on minimum settings, then how much time should we wait to take this CPAP machine off?
So it's a very difficult question. It is indication. Suppose you have a 1.5 kg baby, you gave CPAP, you gave surfactant, baby has come to a pressure of 4, FiO2 25%. That baby you can pull him back to HFNC or immediately within 6 to 8 hours also, or 12 hours also. Now you have another baby who has a pneumonia. Now you gave CPAP, and baby is on pressure of 5, FiO2 50%. 3 days later, the baby has come down to pressure to 4, FiO2 25%. Now you know pneumonia takes about 48 to 72 hours to decrease. So disease process should be passive. Then your pressure and FiO2 should come down. Then you think of removing the baby from CPAP. Now the disease process for extremely low birth rate, you have a 700-gram baby. CPAP, pressure of 4, FiO2. This. Now if you throw near the baby required 1 week or 2 weeks till baby grows, apnea has come down, and then you give a chance to come out of CPAP. After removing CPAP, no retractions, no apnea, you can taking them out of CPAP. But the moment you remove from CPAP, start. This is a very important clinical question, and that is based on the disease process, and the time is based on the disease process. RDS, maybe after surfactant 12 hours, sometimes after 48 hours also. Pneumonia 48 to 72 hours. MA is 5 days to 7 days. Each disease will take its own time. But you should, once he is on minimal setting, give a chance, take him off and see, take out and see. If he maintains well, no need to put him back on CPAP. After minimal setting, you should give a chance to come to HFNC or to room air with.
Sir, when we put off from the CPAP, is the oxygen hood is required or not?
No, never use oxygen hood in neonatology now. Almost all the ROP in neonatology is related to hood oxygen. Hood oxygen gives 100% oxygen. liters, 5 liters, 10 liters, whatever you give in the hood oxygen, without the portholes, it gives 100% oxygen. So 100% oxygen is damaged. Best is to use nasal prongs. Again, nasal prongs, loosely fitting nasal prongs, and flow should be less than 1 liter. Then only use the nasal prongs. Then they will give around 25 to 40%. But if your nasal prongs are tightly fitting, they can also give 100%. So try to avoid using hood oxygen. If you are using hood oxygen, use the one which has portholes, open portholes, so that you don't give high FiO2. So there are some questions here. I'll read and then answer. Person saying me, term baby with RDS, at what point we start CPAP? I said Silverman score more than 5. If you're using Downey score, again Downey score than 5, then start CPAP for term babies. Pneumonia, TTNB, all these conditions you can do CPAP. Only tension pneumothorax, severe asphyxia, you don't use CPAP because efforts are not there. In tension pneumothorax, it can worsen. Otherwise, all irrespective of the disease, if the baby has retractions, he requires CPAP. Is NEC a contraindication for CPAP? Yes. NEC is contraindication. You should not give CPAP for NEC. NEC is gut disease. NEC is systemic disease. I said not an indication for CPAP. It's okay. Dragger nasal, any nasal prongs, as I said, whatever you are using in the unit, you use it to learn the skill of applying better way. Sometimes you have to use a tegaderm, sometimes you have to do a duoderm, and ensure that the nurses are getting trained day by day so that your nasal injury will come down. In Fisher and Paykel CPAP, if you put CPAP mode, oh, this is very important. Humidifier for babies, whether it is HFNC, whether it is CPAP, or whether it is ventilation, it is only invasive mode on the humidifier. No non-invasive mode. We want to deliver the gases at nose at 37 degrees, not at 34. 34 degrees non-invasive mode is not for babies. It is for adults. It is for children. In newborns, it is only invasive mode in the humidifier. So 37 is the temperature you want for HFNC with CPAP and ventilation. CPAP in term babies, yes, I already told you that. Humidifier shows 39 degrees, don't worry. 38, 37, 39 is only what is there. No condensation in the inspiratory limb. That means baby is all right, because the temperature is only reflected in the inspiratory limb. After the temperature probe is there in the inspiratory limb, beyond that there is some segment when no heating is there. So temperature will come down to baby temperature by it goes to the patient. In open lung technique of measures useful in baby and CPAP. I've already told you. Previously, I used to say 50% FiO2, pressure of 5. Now I am saying 30% FiO2, retractions are there, keep increasing the pressure till retractions come down. That is open lung concept. Open lung means till alveolar open, you increase the pressure. How do you increase the pressure? How do you open the alveoli? Either by increasing pressure or by giving surfactant. Between the two, first give pressure, 5 centimeter, add surfactant, no response, increase the pressure further. How to connect HFNC to CPAP circuit? I think I have shown you in the picture that the inspiratory limb of the respiratory and inspiratory, the blue tube of CPAP is connected to HFNC prongs. The HFNC prongs, the prongs of HFNC are small and tapered. The ends are tapered in HFNC. In CPAP, the prongs are wide and they have uniform width and they fit the nose snugly. In HFNC, the prong should occupy less than 50% of the nose. There should be leak in the nares. In CPAP, there should not be leak in the nose. Ram's cannula effect. Good, but you have to use the biggest Ram's cannula and you have to cover the nose. So for that, you have a small thing called duoderm. So what you have to do is you stick the duoderm, make 2 small holes, and into that you put the Ram's cannula prongs. So sometimes instead of 5 pressure, you have to give 6 pressure for Ram's cannula because all the pressure in Ram's cannula need not reach to the nose. So instead of 5, you start with 6 pressure in Ram's cannula. But Ram's cannula is easiest to use for more than 1 kg babies. Indigenous CPAP, no indigenous CPAP. It should be oxygen mixture, give appropriate FIU pressure, temperature of 37% relative humidity. So if you, with indigenous CPAP, if you can get all this, then you do it. But don't give 100% oxygen. Don't give cold oxygen. What will happen if you give cold oxygen with 5 to 6 hours? Baby will have nose block, there will be pulmonary bleed or a GA bleed, and baby will suffer more.
There is a
Cycling is not required. Sir?
Okay, please.
Cycling is not required. Once the baby has minimal settings, remove the remove the settings. Once there is no need of 2 hours, 3 hours. If the baby is on minimal settings, switch over to the HFNC or nasal oxygen. Nasal trauma is the least with Ram's cannula, more than 1 kg. Less than 1 kg, nasal mask. But as I said, don't take from anybody. You have to test your prong. If your prong is working, you continue to do that. You will learn the art of decreasing nasal injury. Can we reuse circuit of CPAP? Ideally, no. Should not, because you're infected. So if baby has retractions, he'll require even with 4 pressure.
Sir, there is a question. How will we check apnea? It is by clinically only or by any other instruments?
Saturation and bradycardia. Desaturation.
What if the baby keeps the mouth open?
If the baby keeps the mouth open, bubbles are there, bubble sounds are heard. If the baby don't do anything, never use chin straps. The excess pressure baby is washing out through the mouth. No baby who requires pressure will keep the baby mouth open. The baby requires pressure, he'll keep the mouth closed.
There is a question, which is better, standalone CPAP or with ventilator? Ventilators are also having the choice of CPAP.
So if you have ventilator, continue to do with ventilator, use short ventilation if the baby requests and switch over to CPAP. You can do ventilator CPAP also, but problem with ventilator CPAP, some of the ventilators is they will have fixed flows. You can't titrate flow of 5 liters. So if you have fixed flows of 8 to 10 liters, then there will be nasal injury. There will be lung injury. You want only 5 pressure, but the flow in the circuit is 8 liters. So there will be turbulence, more humidification problem, more pressure will go to the baby. You are set 5, but the baby will get 7, 8. Pneumothorax will be flow driver CPAP. When do I suspect the baby has pneumothorax? So pneumothorax is suspected when baby has desaturations and when you have differential air entry, do a small transillumination test, then you know that baby has pneumothorax. First thing baby has is baby will have desaturation and worsening retractions.
Sir, which one is the better CPAP? It is a bubble CPAP or it is the flow driven CPAP? What is the advantage of the bubble over the flow driven?
Bubble CPAP is easy to do than flow driver CPAP because in flow driver, the interface is fixed. You can't use different interfaces for flow driver. Flow driver interface that interface is totally different compared to bubble CPAP. Bubble CPAP, you can use Hudson prong, you can use Fish and Packle, you can use Ram's cannula. But if you want to do flow driver CPAP, the interface is only flow driver interface.
So the Ram's cannula seems to be much more simpler than the other.
Which ones? Which ones?
Ram's.
Oh yeah, previously we all had doubts whether Ram's cannula will work or not. But now I can assure you that we have done a large study where Ram's cannula more than 1 kg does work very well. I will show you how we fix the Ram's cannula. There are some people who have doubts that there is no expirate limb. There is expirate limb in Ram's cannula also. I will show you just a minute.
Can the Rams cannula also be used for HFMC? It can serve both the purpose.
It can be used, sir, but then you have to use the smallest prong, sir.
Okay.
Because the CPAP prongs are big prongs, and the prongs of HFNC are the small prongs. Now look at this. So this is not showing the Rams cannula, but Rams cannula is shown here. Now you can see here, we are not fitting directly into the nose. You have a duoderm. This, what is there underneath the Rams cannula is a duoderm. You create small holes in the duoderm, and into that holes you fix the Rams cannula to deliver CPAP. I will show you the video of fixation of Rams cannula.
वो तो प्रियंक से ही करेंगे, वो असल में एक तो ना मैगी कहीं से मिलता है,
Sir, can you see the video?
Yeah.
So now you see, they have not used the used to the duoderm and then fix the Rams cannula. Now the Rams cannula is fixed to the baby, and it has inspiratory and expiratory limb. Now this you are connecting, this Rams cannula, you are connecting to the Y of a ventilator circuit. You see here, shown, it will be shown. So the Rams cannula is connected to, yeah, see here, Rams cannula is connected to the Y. This Y is connected to inspiratory and expiratory limb. Inspiratory limb of CPAP and expiratory limb. So, understood? So, Y inspiratory limb, expiratory limb, the Y connection which you use for ventilator, that connection you connect the Rams cannula.
So, CPAP can be given only in supine position, or any other position can also be?
Sir, you can give CPAP in prone, side.
The baby laps, mother's lap also.
You can. So, any more questions, sir? I think we have. Always circle, if you have a clear picture of RDS, baby continues to have FiO2 requirement more than 30%. To ensure that it's going into the lungs and not into the tummy.
There is a question of risk of developing pneumothorax on CPAP.
No risk. Underlying disease is the correct. Pneumothorax is negligible. Somebody variable, people will get confused. I don't want to touch on that because I think it is better to know bubble CPAP. Variable flow CPAP does not have expiratory limb. Variable flow, the pressure is built in the interface. That is same as the flow driver CPAP. So I think we have finished with the questions. So I want to end by CPAP is easy, doable. You have only 3 knobs in CPAP. Flow fixed at 5 liters. CPAP pressure, if retractions are there, baby will ask you for pressures. Saturations less than 90%, increase the pressure FiO2. More than 95%, decrease FiO2 and decrease the pressure. So look for bubbles. Pressure, no bubble. FiO2, saturation should be between 90 to 95%. More than 1 kg, Rams cannula with duoderm. Less than 1 kg, Rams, less than 1 kg mask or Hudson prongs. Best way to deal with CPAP. Thank you, sir.
At the last one question. Phoenix have also developed their own CPAP. And how it is different from this bubble CPAP, or bubble CPAP is more advantageous than this Phoenix one? It is a difference between the two, or are they same?
Whatever they are doing is how the pressure is generated. In Phoenix, you can use a flow driver interface, or you can use a Ram's cannula or a Hudson prong, and you have a bubble chamber. So Phoenix is nothing. It is only a name of a company. You can do with the same machine, you will use CPAP if you use a bubble chamber. With the same machine, you will use flow driver if you use the interface. Did I answer the question, sir?
The sound is breaking. That's why we didn't catch your reply.
Okay. So as I said, CPAP belly you can avoid by orogastric tube.
So Dr. DM,
No.
we are winding off.
Sanjeev, you.
So thank you, Dr. Morki, for such a nice and practical and useful presentation. Thank you very much. We are all overwhelmed to get such a nice response in this training program. More than 350 participants attended the program. Thanks to all the faculty members, Professor Girish Gupta, Professor Ashok Kumar, Dr. Ashish Prakash, Professor S.N. Singh, Dr. Amit Upadhyay, Dr. Akash Pandita, Dr. Anita, Dr. Kirti, Dr. Akanksha, and Dr. Srinivas Murki today. Thanks to our moderators, Dr. Vineet Saxena, Dr. Ruchira, Dr. Manazir, Dr. Vivek Saxena, Professor Sethi, Dr. Ravi Khanna, and Dr. Pyali Bhattacharya, who conducted the sessions in a very professional manner and kept the faculty busy with flurry of questions. I'm extremely thankful to Dr. Shalabh Kumar, our president for next year, Dr. Om Chaurasia, our dynamic UP IAP secretary, and Dr. Vineet Saxena, a strong pillar of UP IAP, who is instrumental in designing this program. UP IAP is fortunate that we got the blessings of stalwarts of IAP in India and abroad, made by our National President, Dr. Bakul Parikh, National President-elect, Dr. Piyush Gupta, immediate past President, Dr. Degansh Shastri, National Secretary General, Dr. Basavaraj, past National President and International Pediatric Association Executive Director, Dr. Naveen Thakkar, and Professor Ashok Devrari. We are really indebted to all of them. This was the first of the major activities of UP IAP. We are sorry that due to the pandemic, everything got down to standstill. But we have planned further such activities also, because we'll have to live and learn with this e-programming only for quite some time, or maybe in future too. We request our UP IAP members to suggest some programs which are of practical importance to all, so that we can benefit our UP IAPians. In the end, I wish to thank Mr. Vinay Joshi and Mr. Piyush of the DREF persons who conducted this virtual program so smoothly and meticulously that a real conference might not have been possible this way. Thank you all very much. Long live UP IAP. Jai Hind.
Thanks. Thanks and good
Thank
night.
you, sir.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. With this, we bring the closure to our ventilation module. I want to thank each participant to be with us all 7 days, even on Sundays. Thank you so much. For the certificates issuance, we will take another week or so. We will go through your attendance as well as the evaluation form what you have filled. Those who have not yet filled the evaluation form, please go ahead and there's a link on your WhatsApp group. Please fill that form, and then we'll be able to tell you who is eligible for the certificate. The AOP UP will inform you about it, and within 2 weeks time, I think you will have your e-certificates in your email box. Thank you, everyone, and thanks everyone for being with us. have safe time in future, and take care everyone. Good night. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.